Long ago, before tall castles and bustling cities, Britain was a wild land of misty forests, muddy roads, and fierce tribes who painted their faces blue and called themselves Britons. They lived in wooden huts, worshipped ancient gods, and told stories by the flickering firelight. Far across the sea, the mighty Roman Empire was growing ever larger, swallowing lands like a giant beast. The Romans loved straight roads, hot baths, grand temples, and power. At its heart was Rome, a city buzzing with senators, generals, and the iron will of its emperors. By 55 BCE, Rome's greatest general, Julius Caesar, stood on the shores of Gaul, modern-day France, staring across the stormy waters of the English Channel. He had heard tales of the mysterious island of Britannia, a land of tin, gold, and wild warriors. He wanted it for Rome. So, one chilly summer, Caesar gathered ships and soldiers and sailed into the unknown. When the Britons first saw the Roman ships, with sails like white wings and oars slicing the waves, they rushed to the beaches, shouting war cries and beating their spears against their shields. Caesar's first landing didn't go well. The waves were rough, the Britons fought fiercely, and storms battered his fleet. He made some quick deals with local chiefs, then turned back to Gaul. But Rome never forgets. Almost a century later, in 43 CE, Emperor Claudius, determined to prove his strength, ordered a real invasion. This time, it was not just an adventure, it was an empire on the move. Under the command of General Aulus Plautius, about 40,000 Roman soldiers crossed the channel in hundreds of ships. They carried short swords called gladii, big rectangular shields, iron helmets, and the red-crested standards of Rome. They landed in Kent, met again by fierce Britons led by tribal kings like Caratacus and Togodumnus of the Catuvelauni tribe. The Britons fought with chariots, small wooden carts pulled by swift horses, with warriors leaping on and off to throw spears. They painted themselves with blue woad, hoping to terrify the Romans, but the Romans were like a moving wall, shield to shield, disciplined, trained, and relentless. The Britons fought bravely, but their scattered tribes could not match Rome's war machine. After fierce battles, the Romans pushed inland. Soon, Emperor Claudius himself arrived with elephants, yes, elephants, to show the Britons that Rome's power was unstoppable. Many tribes surrendered. Others kept fighting. The Romans built forts, roads, and towns. Londinium, London, was founded as a trading post. They built baths, theaters, and temples to their gods, Jupiter, Mars, and Minerva. But not everyone bowed to Rome. Some tribes fled to the hills and forests, plotting rebellion. Among the Britons, none were fiercer than the Iceni, a tribe in the east led by a queen named Boudica. When the Romans mistreated her people and her family, Boudica rose up like a storm. She gathered an army of tens of thousands, warriors, women, farmers, slaves, all burning to drive Rome out. In 60 CE, Boudica's army swept through Roman towns, burning Londinium to the ground and defeating Roman garrisons. For a moment it looked as if the island might break free, but the Romans regrouped. Their soldiers formed tight lines, shields locked like scales on a dragon's back, and crushed the rebellion. Boudica vanished into legend. Some say she drank poison rather than be captured. After Boudica, Rome tightened its grip. They built Hadrian's Wall in the north to keep out the wild Picts of Scotland. Roman Britain became a mix of Roman roads and native villages, Roman baths beside ancient stone circles. Some Britons adopted Roman ways, wearing togas, trading coins, speaking Latin. Others held on to their old gods and customs in secret. For nearly 400 years, Britain was part of the Roman Empire. Soldiers from as far as Africa and the Middle East guarded its forts. Traders brought wine, olives, and spices. Roman villas dotted the countryside, decorated with colorful mosaics and underfloor heating. But empires rise and empires fall. By the early 400s, Rome itself was under attack from fierce tribes called the Goths and Vandals. The Roman legions in Britain were called home to defend the empire's heart. One by one, the great Roman towns fell silent. The roads cracked. The baths grew cold. The villas were abandoned to wind and rain. And the Britons were left to fend for themselves. And new invaders came, the Saxons, the Angles, and the Jutes. Yet the marks of Rome never vanished. Today, parts of Hadrian's Wall still stand. Roman coins still sleep under English fields, waiting for lucky children with metal detectors. In the language, in the roads, in the ruins, the echo of Rome remains, a reminder that once an empire crossed the sea and tried to tame the island at the edge of the world.